Alright, hey there guys, Aiden Casa here, aka JediBro95, coming at you guys with another video. In this video is a sad video, to be honest, and it's not, well, first of all, it's sad because this has been 1 year since Kobe Bryant's passed away. May he rest in peace. But that's not what this video is going to be about, but I do, maybe remember Kobe for the greatness that he was and not for the crap that people claim that he was. But anyways, this is a sad video because of the fact that we may be seeing a superstar, or a star caliber player's career coming to an end right before our very eyes, and that is Russell Westbrook. Now, don't get me wrong, Russell Westbrook is still a good player. He is just not what he used to be, and I think it should be painfully obvious with how this year has gone with the Wizards. He is just no longer there in terms of his athleticism and his finishing ability, and also his field goal efficiency, which honestly hasn't really ever been great. I mean, he's had years where he shot like 46, 47% at best. However, to be honest, like, a lot of those were just from either layups at the basket, attacking the rim, or, pull-ups from mid-range. And a lot of people just tend to forget nowadays because of recency bias. Russell Westbrook was a very good mid-range shooter in his heyday and at his apex. He was a very good pull-up jump shooter during his time. So, yeah, people just tend to just forget about that. But it is really sad to see that Russell Westbrook's career is winding down right before our very eyes. And I'm not going to say he's totally finished. Okay, like, he's washed, he's done. However, 2019 Russell Westbrook, I'm of the belief now that that was his last hurrah. That was the end of Russell Westbrook. That was his final surge of energy that he had, and now he is just going to wind down slowly but surely, or very quickly, because athletic guards tend to age a lot faster than most. He might wind down pretty quickly, or he might wind down pretty slowly, and it's a shame because I want to see him win a championship. Nothing irks me more than seeing a all-time great, and he is an all-time great, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It is a shame to see all-time great players retire without titles. Guys like Tracy McGrady retired without a championship, Russell Westbrook tied without a title, who else? John Stockton and Karl Malone retired, all-time greats, retired without a championship. Patrick Ewing, another all-time great that retired without a ring. All these great players, just retiring without titles. And, Russell Westbrook, unless something miraculous happens at the end of his career, where he, joins a contending team as a backup and, wins a championship that way, I don't see Russell Westbrook winning a championship. And moving on, side note, let me just say this. This is not me sitting here also saying that the Wizards lost the trade to the Houston Rockets. No, the Wizards did not lose this trade. If anything, they still won the trade, in my opinion. I don't know why everyone thinks, even at the time, I was one of those people that said nobody really won, to be honest. But after looking it over and hearing a few explanations from other people on why they thought the Wizards won the trade, I kind of had to come around and be like, you know what, it makes sense. Because sometimes that's all you need. It's just a second opinion to be like, no, the Wizards won because of, X, Y, and Z. Or this won because of X, Y, and Z. But no, the Wizards still won the Russell Westbrook John Wall trade. They still won it. It's just a matter of the fact that this just did not work out. I don't understand why people still think that this is a transaction that the Wizards lost. How? Please explain to me how, other than the fact that they got Russell Westbrook, can you tell me a reason why they lost the transaction? Because at his peak, John Wall was a borderline All-NBA caliber player who was maybe making an All-Star selection because he was in the East. That's it. Russell Westbrook in the Western Conference during his peak was a perennial All-Star and All-NBA caliber guard. And there were years where he could have been in all defensive teams. I think he actually made a couple. I can't remember. But Russell Westbrook at his peak was a perennial All-NBA caliber guard. John Wall at his peak was a barely All-NBA caliber player who was a all-star because he was in the Eastern Conference. So again, why? And even if we're talking about, even if you want to sit there and argue, why are you bringing up the past? Let's look at the present. Okay, even in the present day, John Wall was sitting at home nursing an Achilles injury. Okay, don't care what anybody says about him looking fine when he was doing scrimmages and all that shit. Okay, that's a scrimmage. That's not NBA level caliber basketball where players are running up and down 70,000 times a fucking game, traveling about 200 miles per game, give or take, as in total. So, no, you cannot tell me that, Russell Westbrook was a better, the Wizards were losers in this trade. My apologies, I couldn't figure it out. You could not tell me that the Wizards lost this trade just because they grabbed Russell Westbrook. Because even in current day situation, Russell Westbrook was coming off the best stretch of his career, where he had ample spacing to work with, where he could attack the rim with the veracity and intensity that he is known for, and that's one of the reasons I love him, is because of how fearless and how intense he goes at people, and also the fact that he was able to kick out to shooters if they collapsed on his well, okay, this is going to be a pause here, his hard penetration. Okay, yeah, that was a definite pause. Anyhow, it's just the fact that, obviously, one of the reasons this hasn't worked out for the Wizards' favor is because defensively, and again, this isn't me saying that this is the metaphor. This is the man himself with the ball in his hands right now. They can't stop a parked car. A parked car would go by, though, because they're just that bad defensively. He knows it. Everybody in the NBA community knows it. But yet it's somehow Westbrook's fault that the Wizards are just not a good defensive team. Despite the fact that the defense is more of a team effort than it is an individual effort. Granted, yes, certain individuals can stand out defensively. That's why Robert Covington was standing out. That's why Robert Covington was able to stand out on, those Minnesota Timberwolves teams that were terrible defensively. Or, Anthony Davis was able to stand out, for the most part, on defense in the Pelicans. Or why even guys like, say, Giannis Antetokounmpo, even as the Bucks were a below average or a terrible defensive team at some points, he was still able to shine as a great defensive player that could have been Defensive Player of the Year. And guess what? He won Defensive Player of the Year last season. So again, yeah, this is just a trade that has just not worked out. Okay? The same way a lot of other moves do. Some moves just don't work out, even though, the team in theory won the trade. Okay? Some moves just don't work. Like, for example, most recently, the Rockets grabbing James Harden. The Rockets grabbing James Harden in 2012. That was a win for the Rockets. It just in the long term never panned out because they were never able to reach a finals appearance. But even then, I would argue that it still panned out pretty damn well because they were a consistent playoff team every single year he was there, and they were winning perennial 50-plus wins and making, top seeds in the conference. So even then, I would argue that's a win for that team. Another trade that didn't work out was the Lakers grabbing, Karl Malone and Gary Payton. Either they were either trades or signings, but even then, the premise is still the same. It just didn't work out because, injuries held them back from being as great as they could have been. So when you, again, just because it's not working out doesn't mean the team in question lost the trade. Doesn't make sense. But anyways, that's going to be the end of this video for me. I hope Russell Westbrook can either turn it around later on in the season, or I hope that Russell Westbrook can, become a backup on a championship caliber team and he can retire and say, hey, I got to actually have a championship. So I hope he does, because, again, nothing irritates me more than seeing great players retire ringless. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this video. I'll talk to you guys next time.